POGOs, no? Because there are two, again, no? There are two, these are online games, but two different business models, no? One income is being derived from abroad, from offshore, and one income being derived from onshore. I'll go into POGOs, no? Which is the business model wherein income is being derived from offshore. So I'll go into that in this discussion because that's also a very controversial industry right now. And I'll ask DOFs their views on this matter. And I also want to get their position on this POGO controversy happening in our country. So we recognize ASEC Carlo Adriano.
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Chair. We have prepared a very short slide. Mr. Chair, in general, the DOF supports the prohibition of POGO operation due to the social cost and reputational risk. Hearings in the House of Representatives and in the Senate, we have expressed that the economic benefits of keeping POGOs are outweighed by its social costs and negative consequences that have economic implication. However, we would like to note that the position and the coverage of the cost-benefit analysis of the Department of Finance is limited only to POGOs, and it does not include the online gambling industry as a whole. Next slide. So our estimates show that the net cost of POGO operation is around 99.52 billion annually. The estimated total economic benefits from POGOs amount to 166.49 billion pesos annually, while the estimated total economics cost amount to 265.74 billion pesos annually. So the economic benefits includes the indirect economic benefits. What are example of this indirect economic benefits? So POGO pay taxes, and the taxes they paid will be used by government for its program, for instance, infrastructure program, which will have indirect, what we call indirect economic benefits. Another example are the compensation, but salaries basically, the salaries to laborers. So if they have salaries, then these laborers will have income to buy things which may generate more economic activity. So those are examples of indirect economic benefits. On the other hand, we also computed, in the cost side, we also computed the indirect economic cost. This will include, because of the reputational risk, lesser investments, etc. However, we would like to note that, as you can see in the social cost, we cannot identify a number for that social cost. Next slide, please. So for the estimated, so this slide provides you the breakdown of the benefits and the cost. So the estimated economic benefits include government revenues, which include tax revenues from the Bureau of Internal Revenue, as well as gross gaming revenues from PAGCOR. Other estimated direct economic benefits include estimated income from office and residential space rentals, transportation, and additional demand from private consumption of employees and entities. On the other hand, the indirect economic benefits include the multiplier effects of these associated economic activities, as well as the fiscal multiplier of government revenues earned from POGOs. For the economic multiplier, we use the input-output 2018 model. For the fiscal multiplier, we use the actual data. For the economic cost, the estimated economic costs of POGOs include direct and indirect costs of allowing POGO operation. This includes the effects of reputational risk, which have an impact on foreign direct investments, as well as the negative impact of criminal incidents in terms of our attractiveness as a tourist destination. Again, we note that the estimated economic cost exclude the social cost of POGOs, which we deem to be unquantifiable. This includes the loss of life, physical and psychological harm to victims, and the impact on the communities, such as increased sense of fear and anxiety associated with illegal POGO activities. So based from this slide, as you can see, the benefits is significantly less than the estimated cost, and hence a net cost of around 99.52 billion annually. That ends my presentation, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, ASEC. Well, ASEC, we all know DOF is in charge of raising revenues. In fact, when it comes to giving away incentives, I know for a fact that DOF is very prudent in that, because every centavo collected by DOF is carefully managed, and it makes sure the DOF makes sure that the tax effort is always efficient. We maximize our assets, we maximize the potential of revenue generation. However, in your slide, can we just flash it again? That based on your cost-benefit analysis, that the cost by POGOs, because of its criminal effects, because of the social ills, outweighs the revenue being generated for government. And that includes also indirect economic benefits. No? What are the indirect economic benefits? Just so that everyone will understand the particulars of that indirect economic benefits.
Yes, Mr. Chair. So basically, for instance, tax revenue is a direct economic benefit that we get from POGO activities. But again, once we receive the tax revenues, we use this to implement government programs, like infrastructure program, social programs, and that will have an effect to the economy. So that's what you call an example of an indirect benefit, Mr. Chair. And then, for instance, for the wages of the laborers employed in POGO, so since they receive salaries, they have some disposable income, and basically they buy goods or services which will further increase economic activities.
And in this slide also, you also demonstrated indirect economic costs. So what are those, the indirect economic costs?
Mr. Chair, on investment due to crime. We also have foregone revenues from tourism because basically because of that that negative negative picture of having POGO activities in the Philippines may in fact affect the tourism industry as well. So those are included in the indirect cost.
You mentioned also earlier that social costs cannot be quantified. Can you explain that further? I know that this has been a tricky portion to quantify it, no? But just to elaborate it further, can you spread into the records, or can you elaborate how come social cost is very difficult to quantify, and yet it's there. We all know it's there. No? The killing, human trafficking, all of those things. So. But how come it's very difficult to quantify? No?
Mr. Chair, an example is, yung loss of life. It's very hard to quantify. For instance, a loss of life definitely entails a cost to the society. Now, you have to compare that cost to the benefit. For instance, if that person remains alive, you have to basically know his or her own productivity, etc. So it's very hard to actually have a monetary cost on the life of a person.
So, ASEC, just to be more precise, no, tax revenues from BIR is about 10 billion, Then gaming revenues about 13. These are revenues coming to government, diba? These are our collections. No? So we're talking about 13 billion, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So the 10.32 billion are tax revenue collected by the BIR from POGOs, and the 3.15 billion is the gaming revenues from PAGCOR.
Okay. And then the private consumption, these are VAT, no? Correct?
Yes, it includes VAT.
But the direct ones, yung talagang pumapasok from BIR or the direct ones coming from the POGO companies is 10 plus 13.
Yes.
Tama?
Yes.
All right. So in other words, the DOF is willing to forgo 13 billion because of the social ills and the cost being generated by POGOs. And the cost, it comes in the form of foreign investments, foreign tourism, and DOF is willing to forgo that 13 billion.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Basically, the idea of a cost-benefit analysis, like for instance, you may already mention the direct benefits in terms of tax revenues. Now, how does it translate to cost, for instance? As you can see there, there's an impact to investment. So basically, there's lower investments because of POGO activities. And we know that if there are more investment, we could have actually collected taxes from these supposed investments if they have come in. So again, you have to balance out. And in this particular case, we can see that the costs are definitely higher than the benefits. So although we are foregoing some tax revenues if ever there will be a ban of POGO, but that can be compensated if there will be more investment that will be coming in because of the ban on POGO.
That's what I'm driving at. No? We're foregoing 13 billion, but what do we replace it with? No? That's my question. And your answer to that is we will increase investments, hopefully by 55 billion, because that's forgone, di ba? In 55. And impact on tourism, that's 29 billion, because that's forgone. No? And forgone because of reputational risk, reputational damage, and we showed earlier that the news is not confined to our country. It also was reported in CNN, Reuters, and in some other international news agencies. And in fact, personal friends of mine from abroad also, every now and then will forward to me news in their country about all of this human trafficking, because human trafficking is transnational. It's not confined in our borders. We're talking about citizens from Malaysia, citizens from China, citizens from Vietnam. So it's also reported in their countries. And now we have an element of money laundering, which is also a form of transnational crime. So I'm sure it will be reported in their country. So what I'm saying is, all of this negative reporting is coming out of the Philippines. And if you are a tourist and you're an investor, that will have negative impact, or that will create negative impression in your decision making.
Yes, Mr. Chair, you are correct. And if there will be lesser investments, that means lesser tax revenues as well. If there will be less tourism as well, that means lesser tax revenues on the tourism sector and the multiplier of the tourism sector.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Asek. We'll hear from NEDA, their position.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Similar to DOF, we support the intention of the bill on the basis of the fact that the economic cost outweighs the benefits. For the direct benefit, we excluded the impact of the tax revenue collection, so we leave that to the DOF. But our estimate as of for 2023 would be around 50 billion. That's the direct. And then using input-output similar to the analysis of DOF, we estimate that indirect effects could amount to around 0.23% of GDP. This would be in real terms. This would be smaller versus the estimate of the DOF because, well, we use IO, but we net out the import components. So we came out with a smaller indirect benefit. And so that would be around 0.23% of GDP in real terms. So that's the benefit. The cost would be the potentially lower number of Chinese tourists. In our analysis, we assumed that only around 20% of the pre-pandemic level of Chinese tourists would be able to come, on the ground that if we continue the operation of POGOs, there will be a blacklist. No, China would blacklist the Philippines as a tourist destination. And so we estimate that we could lose around 144 billion from this, or 0.8% of GDP in real terms. So the figure for the cost is pegged in 2019 values still, because as we all know, the number of Chinese tourists does not return to pre-pandemic level. In 2023, only around 15% of the pre-pandemic level has returned to the Philippines. So that would be all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Just to reiterate, I received your letter dated July 15, and it's written here that the potential economic cost of allowing continued operation of POGOs outweigh their estimated economic contribution. No?
Yes,
So
Mr.
what you're
Chair.
saying is obviously the cost outweigh the benefit of
Yes, Mr. Chair.
allowing POGOs to continue to operate. No? All right. All right. Is that can you just submit to us those
Figures.
numbers that you mentioned, no,
Yes,
for
Mr. Chair.
for my records? All right. Thank you for that. I'll again, we'll continue with the discussion of POGOs. I'll go back to online gaming earlier, online gaming later, but we'll continue to discuss POGOs because that's the most controversial topic on hand. We'll call on PAOK, Yusek Gilbert Cruz is here. And just to enlighten us, no, I know that you have been raiding so many facilities, no, POGO facilities. And I want to ask you a question. If we continue to, let me backtrack, no? Why do you think, no, POGOs are always associated with these criminal elements? We showed earlier on the slide that a lot of this, especially on the later stage, a lot of these POGO entities that you raided, they all have the same hallmarks, no? Human trafficking, torture, even prostitution, and then during our raids, no, I went with you to inspect some of the facilities. We also found out that a lot of these elements are being run by criminal syndicates, you know, who have criminal records abroad. Some of them, or most of them, have warrant of arrest. You know. In your opinion, how come these POGO entities are always associated with criminal elements? You know? How come they're closely linked? From your analysis, Yusek Cruz.
Basically, sir, they're looking for a place to do their thing, like yung scamming activities. And I think nakita nila, sir, yung Pilipinas as their playground. When I say playground, sir, things they need to continue to operate their legal activities are available here. Like having a new identity. Every time we raided the POGO hubs, uh, this is a constant thing that that's happening in every raids that we're doing. Laging may mga fugitives, sir. Sometimes we get 15, 9 fugitives in other POGO hubs, 11. And checking on their identities, they already assume identities. And kung mapapansin mo, sir, meron na silang mga driver's license, meron silang mga PhilHealth cards, meron silang mga even birth certificates, and passports. In some cases, nakakuha kami, sir, sa Thailand ng mga passports. So, we're thinking na, kaya, sir, naging puntahan tayo ng mga criminal elements dito is because they can get what they want here. And in cases that they run into trouble with the law, naayos nila, sir. It's really hard to accept their reality, but in most cases, sir, naayos nila yung problema nila rito. And yun nga, sir. And then, nakuha nila, sir, yung mga weaknesses ng mga Pilipinos. And ang isa pang problema, sir, na nakita namin is yung existence still nung pre-registered SIM cards. We're talking about online gaming here, sir. And what's the common denominators in POGOs, in online gaming, na yung sinasabi nga ni Chairman na pag tinanggal nila, maya-maya nandiyan na uli. Kasi there still exists yung pre-registered SIM cards. They can avail of these pre-registered SIM cards dito sa atin. Nakakagawa kasi in one case, we demonstrated yung paggawa ng mga SIM cards kasama yung mga media kung paano ginagawa. Dito lang ginagawa eh. And they can even contract a group of pre-registered SIM cards creator para gumawa ng thousands of SIM cards for them. So, not unless we can solve the problem of this pre-registered SIM card, sir, hindi matatanggal dito, sir, yung POGO. Kasi they always hide behind dito sa mga fake identities na to, sir. After getting what they want, let's say, pag nakuha na nila o pag nasuba na nila o pag na-scam na nila yung isang tao, tatapon lang nila yung SIM cards and that's it. Nasira na yung buhay ng isang tao dahil dun sa isang pre-registered SIM cards. They'll just use another pre-registered SIM card na ginawa nila for the purpose of scamming persons. Ano? And in recent raids na ginawa namin, may mga nakuha kaming pre-registered SIM cards na nanggaling na po sa what country is that? Sa ibang bansa, sir. So, UK, yeah. Meron tayo sa UK, meron tayo sa India ng mga pre-registered SIM cards. So, sabi namin, hanggang nag-i-exist itong mga to, sir, hindi mauubos yung online gaming na yan, hindi mauubos yung POGO na yan, sir. Kasi, sir, dito, nakakakuha sila eh. Kahit anong bantay natin, sir, okay, nasira na natin, sir, yung number 3, number 4, number 2 na pinakamalalaking POGO hubs dito sa Pilipinas. Pag kumalat ito, sir, dahil meron pa rin silang pre-registered SIM cards, they can do scamming in houses. 50-50 persons, sir. Sa mga condo, sir, they can do scamming, sir, as long as they possess and they can avail of these pre-registered SIM cards. So, yun, sir, ang nakikita namin na problema. And of course, sir, dapat maghigpit talaga tayo rito pagdating, sir, sa mga government-issued IDs. Kasi sabi ko nga, sir, Philippines is really a playground for them now para gumawa, sir, ng mga scamming activities nila and criminal activities as well. Kasi, sir, hindi lang po scamming ang ginagawa nila. They're now doing kidnappings, killings. They have enforcers now, sir, dito sa atin. And na sila mismo, dati, gumagamit pa sila ng mga Filipino counterparts. But later on, they realized na lagi silang nahuhuli pag may counterpart na Pilipino silang kasama. Now, what they're doing is, nag-i-import na sila It's either retired military from other countries or some are retired policemen. Ito po ay nasa record natin na ang hinahabol namin dun sa ibang POGO hubs are retired military or retired policemen. And probably that will explain why we have military uniforms and military and police uniforms doon po sa mga POGO hubs na nire-raid natin. And yun na po ang ginagamit nila. Sila na mismo, they have their own rule. They created their own parang batas sa loob ng POGO hub. And these POGO hubs are self-contained POGO hubs na lahat nandun na eh. Hindi na kailangan lumabas ang isang POGO hub worker. They have prostitution inside. They have KTVs inside. They have doctors inside. They have pharmaceuticals inside. Groceries. So you don't need, pag nasa loob ka po ng POGO hub, you don't need to get out dahil yung sinusweldo mo, doon mo nalang binibili, yung POGO hub na rin ang maniningil sa'yo. Yun lang nga, pag hindi ka nakakabayad at ayaw mo magbayad at ayaw mong gawin yung pinagagawa nila or siguro hindi ka po nakaka-comply sa kote nila, then you will be subjected to tortures. And yung pong mga nakikita natin videos na palala na po ng palala there are more gross videos na hindi na po namin sinasama dahil baka hindi nyo na ma-take. Yung kanina nga, may nasingitan pa tayong isa dyan dahil hiniwa-hiwa ho yung puwit nun tapos nilagyan ng ketchup na maanghang. So ganun na ho sila ka. Parang sabi ko nga, this is their playground now and they can do whatever they want. So, yun lang po, sir.
Thank you for that, Yusek. In Yusek, after raiding, we have raided 2 probably, or 3, huge POGO hubs. The one in Las Piñas, the one in Bamban, and the one in Porac. And seems to me na these are really probably the biggest operating in our country. Have we already apprehended, have we already stopped the perpetrators of these POGO hubs? Meaning, have we already apprehended or charged the mastermind of these POGOs? Tapos na ba? In other words, tapos na ba ito? Are we seeing the end of this type of criminality?
We did charge some of the bosses, sir. Malalaki na, sir, yung mga nahuli natin eh. But ano po to, sir, kabit-kabit na in our analysis, nag-ooperate pa rin, sir, yung iba eh. Despite yung may mga inaprubahan po tayo, sir, di ba? Yung mga temporary license natin and but yung iba po, they really intend not to magpa-license eh. Dahil mas gusto nilang mag-operate, sir, ng kolorum eh. Ng illegal. So, ang nakita namin, okay, sir, na-stop natin yung 3, 4, 5 na malalaking POGO, sir eh. But, nag-ooperate pa rin po, sir, yung iba. I think we did some impact in some ways, but really for them to stop, hindi po natin nagagawa, sir. I think kailangan, sir, pumukpok pa po tayo, sir. But, yun nga yung sinabi ko, sir, if we can do something about this proliferation of this pre-registered SIM card, sir, baka ma-stop natin ito.
Well, talk to the ICTs here, so I'm sure they're taking note of that, and we already flagged them about the problems of the fake SIM cards, or not fake SIM cards, but the fake identities being used in SIM cards. We already flagged them with that. We'll talk to them later on about that, because a lot of this, when you talk about digital internet, we have no choice but to talk to the ICT, because they're the agency that is supposed to be leading the way in assuring the public that the digital space is safe for everyone, and not being abused. But obviously, that's not the case. We're not seeing that. So we'll hear from the ACT about their efforts to clean up the digital space in our country. No? Ang next question ko, Yusek, there's also a school of thought that if we ban POGOs, they will go underground. No? Or if we ban POGOs, the illegal will continue. Because they're illegal. Whether we ban or we don't ban, they will continue. What is your opinion on that? Do you think banning POGOs will still yield to the same illegal activities? Based on your expert opinion and based on your observation, I'm sure you've seen a lot of all of this, yung kanilang patterns, no? You've seen a lot of the patterns, you see a lot of their mentality. So what's your opinion on that type of school of thought?
Well, definitely, sir, Mr. Chair, when you ban POGOs, tama yun, sir. Ma-stop natin yan. But we need to yung be more sir, yung mas masigasig tayo sa pagpapalo up. Dahil yun ang mangyayari, sir, pag na-ban natin yan, magliliitan yan, sir. And then magigirilya yan. Yung ginagawa nila sa multinational, yun, sir, ang mangyayari. They just do scamming activities in houses. So yun lang, sir, ang magiging problema natin. But ang solusyon naman na ino-offer namin dyan, sir, we can do it on a local level na, sir. If, let's say, the mayor or the governor or the city mayor will be aggressive, sir, in running after this, yung mga kolorum na POGO hubs na ito, yung mga maliliit na to, sir, mas madali na. Compared, sir, dito sa malalaki, sir, it's hard. I mean, sir, we already told you our stories on how hard for us to even apply for search warrant, even to get help from other law enforcement agencies. Medyo hirap po kami because of the connections, because of the network, because of yung resources na ginagamit, sir, ng mga management ng POGO hubs na yan laban sa mga gustong manghuli sa kanila. Unlike, sir, kung maliliit, sir, I think yung local, sir, kaya na . Halimbawa, sir, in other cities like Valenzuela and Bulacan, they already banned POGO hubs there, sir, operation of POGO hubs. So it would be easier, sir. Kasi pag sa local, sir, you can check on do you have the proper mayor's permit o kaya do you have the necessary fire code compliance in that area, sir. Tapos it will be very easy kasi, sir. Halimbawa kung sa bahay yan, sir, yung bahay lang na yun, sir, ang bukas ang ilaw sa gabi. So ang daling makita na nun, sir. So it would be easier, sir. Comparing dun sa parang fortress, sir, na gigibain natin, sir, yung gate o aakyatin mo pa yung gate para makita mo yung operation, which is what they're doing in this mga POGO hubs na malalaki. But kung nasa subdivision sila, sir, even the homeowners association, sir, kaya na pong pasukin yun. So mas madali, sir, kung Pero banning, sir, pwede pong mangyari yun. Hindi po magiging problema, sir, yung madidilute sila.
Yusek, nakita ko kasi, no, in our times when we inspected the facilities, I saw some of the workers there. They transfer from one company to the other, no? From one POGO hub to the other. In fact, they start off as legitimate or legal, and then they end up working in illegal. No? I saw some paperworks regarding that. Mga IDs na nare-recover, yung mga working permits na nare-recover. So, in other words, nag-umpisa sila legal, but they end up in illegal. And they transfer, they move around. No? That's what we, at least that's what I saw, no? in those briefings and the inspections that we made. Is that the same pattern that you've seen in the past raids that you conducted?
Opo, sir. Now they're doing it in groups. Dati, isa-isa lang, sir. Now, ang nakikita mo namin is, pag mainit dito sa isang POGO hub na ito, they'll just, a group of 10 or 20 persons, lilipat lang yan sa isang POGO hubs. So, yung mga team leaders nila, now they are, kasi sir, when you are obliged to reach a certain quota, let's say 5 million to 8 million, yung isang group of 20 or group of 10, diba, inobliga ka sir na you need to reach 8 o 10 million quota every week. Ngayon sir, the same group sir, paglilipat yan sir, isang grupo na yan. So, palipat-lipat lang sila sir eh. Sa mga POGO sir dito sa Metro Manila and even in POGOs in Region 3 and Region 4 sir. Palipat-lipat. Even sir, yung mga nare-rescue namin sa Myanmar, yung mga nare-rescue namin doon sir. Dito sir, sa Pilipinas, yung mga Pilipino doon, ngayon supervisor sila rito eh. And they're handling groups na already.
In other words, ang nakikita ko kasi yung mga again, based on your observation, nagiging daan itong mga legal POGO hubs para makapasok sila. And then they eventually transfer. And now narinig ko sa inyo that they operate now in teams. I guess meron silang they organize themselves and they move around. Is that what you also observe? Is that these legal POGO hubs, because when they come here, they bring in thousands of people. So I'm not sure if they can monitor all of the movement of those thousands of people, especially if they don't perform. No? So, and that's what I see when I inspect yung mga IDs. Nakita natin yan, the IDs of different POGO hubs. So based on your observation, is that the phenomena? Is that a pattern that you are seeing, that these legal POGO hubs become the door that opens, and then once they're in, nandito na sa Pilipinas, it's easy to move around? No?
Yung mga legal POGO hubs, sir, frankly speaking, sir, dyan din po tayo nakakakuha, sir, ng mga, ng mga scammers. Most of the POGO hubs na ni-raid namin, sir, may mga license yung iba eh. And yet, they're doing scamming activities inside those POGO hubs. And yung sir, yun nga sir, palipat-lipat lang sila. Sa tingin ko sir, hindi na nila tinitignan whether that's a legal POGO hub or illegal POGO hub. Ang tinitignan lang nila sir kung eto maganda pa pasweldo nito, eto ba maayos ang pasweldo. Yun na lang sir eh. Pero as to whether that's a legal or illegal POGO hub, sir, di na po. They don't care already, sir.
Thank you for that, for sharing with us your thoughts on that, Yusek. Next will be PNP. Colonel Tom, are you representing the entire PNP? Any comments on the bill?
We have our Deputy Director for Administration. who will
Okay,
be-
sige. Si General here, General Tataka.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Your Honor, sir. On the part of the PNP, the Philippine National Police supports the proposed Senate bill on the banning the online gaming. We have seen the negative impact of online gaming on the youth and their families, leading to addiction, financial problems, and even police officers engaging in illegal activities such as robbery and kidnapping, among others, affecting the welfare and worse, the security and safety of their families. We believe that by banning online gaming, we can protect our citizens, especially the vulnerable youth, from the harmful effects of excessive gaming. We urge the Senate to pass this bill to safeguard the well-being of our people and promote a healthier and more productive society. In addition, sir, supporting the proposed Senate bill on banning online gaming, the Philippine National Police recommends implementing educational campaigns and providing support services for individuals affected by online gaming addiction. We believe that raising awareness about the risks of excessive gaming and offering resources for those struggling with addiction can help prevent future problems and provide assistance to those in need. By combining the ban on online gaming with proactive measures to address addiction, we can create a more comprehensive approach to protecting our citizens and promoting a safer and healthier community. That's the part po ng Philippine National Police in behalf po ng aming Chief PNP. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, thank you. General, you support both banning the online gaming and POGO.
Yes.
Tama. So kanina we discussed that online gaming has two business models. One getting bets from abroad and one getting bets from domestic. Both the
Yeah.
PNP supports that. No?
Yes, sir.
And based on your experience, I've read this in some of the news reports. I won't go into yung nawalang sabongero, no? I won't go into that. But from your experience, because for me, no, one of the most concerning is our own policemen gets involved in gambling, no? And I've seen news reports about that, no? For example, our own policemen, because online gaming is so accessible, you know. And unlike a casino, diba? Like for us who work in government, we cannot go in casino and play, no? Number one, they have CCTVs, no? Number two, we'll be noticed, or people will notice us or will see us. So it's very difficult for us to play inside casinos. But with online games, it's very easy and accessible, no? Again, that's the beauty of internet, but also the downside of internet. But in your experience, Baho, do we have, during the heydays of Isabong, did you encounter any problems with our policemen getting hooked with Isabong, o meron ba tayong issue with online gamings during na naririnig nyo during those times or during these times, no?
Yes, sir. Actually, sir, meron talaga kami we have lots of personnel na involved, sir, sa e-gaming, and we have filed cases against them. So, administrative cases pa na-file pa namin, and most of them are already, some are dismissed, and some po ay ongoing pa yung cases po against them. So, we have experience a lot of hindi naman po lahat, kumbaga, sabi niyo nga, sir, na talagang yung e-gaming is, kumbaga, natural lang din naman sa police as human being. So, na-involved din sila sa ganyan na activity.
Meron tayong mga policemen
Yes, sir,
who
meron.
get involved. And
Based on records po, meron po.
how do you detect? May nagsusumbong? How do you... Kasi for me, the most concerning is a policeman indebted. Kung nagkakautang sa casino, nagkakautang sa online gaming, I think that's a very dangerous, no, situation and very concerning for the communities, no? So how do you detect all of those?
Yes, sir, meron po kasi kaming parameters po. Sometimes meron po kaming spot inspection sa mga, during inspection, kine-check po namin kanilang cellphones. So, during sa inspection na yan, nakikita na meron sila mga naka-upload na ganun na games, mga apps. So, yun po yung start po ng aming investigation against them. Titignan po namin yung kanilang background, ilan na ba yung kanyang salary compared po sa kanyang utang. So, doon po lumalabas po yung na talagang yung personal natin yun is addicted na po sa illegal gambling, so, e-gaming.
Thank you for that, and I congratulate PNP for being proactive. No, again, no, the most dangerous situation will be a policeman indebted because of gambling. No, just imagine how he will recover that, or just imagine how he will pay those debts throughout his tenure as a policeman. No, so it's a very dangerous situation. But thank you for being proactive, and I heard earlier that you mentioned that you have investigated and even dismissed, no, some policemen who are involved in gambling, and I salute you for that. No, I think that sends a strong message to our communities that the PNP is very serious with policemen who are addicted or who are embroiled in gambling. No? So I salute you for that. Any comments from NBI? Regarding the proposed measures, proposed bills?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair. Actually, in addition doon sa statement ni Executive Director Jose Gilberto D.C. Cruz, yung yung SIM cards pre-registered. Actually, nag-evolve na ho ang technology natin. Ang na-observe ho namin sa Philippine cyberspace is yung utilization ng virtual numbers or foreign numbers. For example, if you're using a Telegram platform, you can buy virtual numbers using ton coins, which is exclusive only sa platform na yon. Then you can use it in any mode of communication. So in terms of tracking from the law enforcement perspective, definitely wala ho kaming makikita doon kasi naglalaho na yun sa cyberspace. I think ito siguro ang pwede rin natin tingnan with the ICT and NTC kung paano ho natin ma-address yan. Especially unregulated ho yung ating mga platform like Telegram, Signal, etc. I think uupuan ho namin yan with the ICT how to address those issues. And then, Your Honor, in terms of the position of the NBI, basically the NBI concurs with the eventual ban of POGO in the Philippines, with the caveat that the total ban on POGO be done gradually. Given the fact that there are at least 5,000 Filipinos are direct POGO employees, while 30,000 of the 65,000 indirect hires are also Filipinos. And in addition to the provision, Your Honor, under the Senate Bill 63 and 1281, the prohibition covers only acts that promote or encourage online gambling. This is referring to public officer or employee. The NBI is somehow proposing that the prohibition would be extended to other acts, such as having knowledge of the existence of the operation of online gambling in his or her jurisdiction, meaning yung public officer or employee. And if he fails to abate or to take action or tolerates the same in connection therewith, para ho at least mas rigid ho yung ating measure in terms of curbing itong POGO operation. That's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you po.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your comments. We want to hear also from NSC, National Security Council. Any comments on the matter?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The NSC also supports the three bills, Senate bills in consideration today pertaining to online gambling and on offshore gambling activities. We have seen, sir, as presented by the chair in his initial presentation, we have seen the extent of criminal activities being conducted in some of the IGLs and POGO facilities, particularly human trafficking, cyber fraud, prostitution, etc., which to us has become a very serious national concern that are now being addressed by the appropriate law enforcement agencies. We have the PAOK and CID, GPNP, and also by the appropriate regulatory agencies such as PAGCOR. But the NSC, for its part, continues to work closely with the appropriate agencies so that we could come up with a good understanding of its implications to national security. At this point in time, we are seeing this as a serious national concern, but we are getting there. We are now in consultation with the appropriate agencies like the National Intelligence Board in conducting this assessment. So again, sir, we support the passage of legislative measures that would outlaw and criminalize illegal POGO operations and thereby totally ban such POGOs and IGLs in the country. That would be all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that statement. And by far, I think that's the strongest statement I've heard from the NSC, that to completely ban POGOs eventually in our country. You mentioned that currently it's considered a national security concern. But you also mentioned that we're getting to the point that it's becoming a national security threat. No? Did I get you correctly, sir?
We are trying to get to the assessment that this is possibly a national security concern, because if we look at national security, we look at some elements like territorial integrity, sovereignty, social cohesiveness, political stability, and at this point in time, we do not see that happening right now. But we are, of course, as I mentioned, that we are now in consultation with the National Intelligence Board and the other agencies here to get that assessment, so that this would help the President later on come up with a better appreciation of how to look at this POGO issue, Mr. Chair.
What will it take what scenario should happen before, what scenario should happen in relation to POGO that it will be elevated to a national security threat? What type of scenarios are you looking at? Because for me, it's already, with all of these things happening, we have criminal syndicates operating in our country, we have evidence of military or police uniforms, Chinese police uniforms, Chinese military uniforms in our country. We also have, I remember reading in the news that we apprehended a hacking expert who was also connected to POGOs. He actually disclosed himself that he was once upon a time connected to POGOs. And they discovered sophisticated equipment and also ammunition and firearms in his condominium, I believe. For me, it's already all the fingerprints of a national security threat is already there. Especially the hacking expert that we discovered. In my mind, what are we still waiting for to declare it as a national security threat? All the red flags are already there, and all of those are pointing to POGOs as the origin of those circumstances. So, kaya in my mind, ano ba inaantay natin? What are we still waiting for to elevate it into a national security threat?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Right now, the issue is handled pretty well, or we are satisfied with how this is being handled by the law enforcement and regulatory agencies. But I am taking from the statement of the National Security Advisor when he mentioned that the response to this does not yet have to include the drastic responses, for example, involving the AFP in addressing national security threats like the CPP-NP and even terrorist threats. This is where I'm coming from the statement already given by the NSA on this regard, sir.
Okay, I understand that. My point of the matter is we are already seeing red flags. In my opinion, we should not wait for the detonation of a bigger scenario. I think the red flags should be enough for us to declare it as a national security threat. Nevertheless, the statement of banning it is already, for me, is a strong statement from the NSC that I've yet to receive, and I appreciate that statement because definitely if you have this type of syndicates, we also the pictures operating in our country, that's already for me, that's already a very concern for me and the community. That's very concerning. That these people go around freely. They can do whatever they want, and with a large amount of money coming from money laundering, that's adding fuel to, or that's adding more potential to what they can do. Yeah.
The stem of the position, Mr. Chair, is that similar to what have been shared by our economic agencies. If the social costs are greater than the economic benefits, then there is no reason for us to for POGOs and IGLs to proceed.
Thank you for that. We also have some of our colleagues from the DOJ, in particular the AYACAT.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and we also thank the Honorable Committee for inviting us in this committee hearing. And I speak, Your Honor, on behalf of the DOJ Interagency Council Against Trafficking, and we affirm and echo the statement as provided by the Honorable Chair in his opening statement as regards to the ramifications of these POGO operations, as well as we affirm the statement of our good USEC Cruz of PAOK. We commend PAOK as a partner of the IACAT in all its activities in raiding these illegal POGO operations. As to the operations of illegal POGOs, Your Honor, the IACAT will remain steadfast and committed in interdicting these illegal operations, as well as all the criminalities and criminal activities that goes along with these operations. And if I may comment further, Honorable Chair, there was a mention of transfer, quote unquote, of personnel from one POGO operations to another. We already consider this as an act of human trafficking. The very act of transferring from one point to another, or from one POGO operation to another, is an act of human trafficking, and it is considered as forced criminality on the part of those personnel. So with that, Mr. Chair, the department through the IACAT would also submit its position paper to this matter. This is consistent as well to our position paper that we already submitted to the House of Representatives in its Committee on Games and Amusement. Rest assured, Honorable Chair, that the DOJ IACAT shall support and heed to whatever recommendations that this committee shall provide. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Can you, Executive Director, can you elaborate the position paper that you submitted to?
Yes.
Just to spread into the record so that we'll capture it during our discussion.
Yes, Honorable Chair. The DOJ IACAT already submitted its position paper to the House of Representatives through the Committee on Games and Amusement as regards to the same subject matter as we are discussing in this hearing, Your Honor, on the possible banning of Philippine offshore gaming operations, or POGOs, or the internet gaming licensee in the Philippines. And to be consistent with that submission, Your Honor, we shall be submitting the same to this committee.
Can you support the ban? Is that?
Yes, the bills we support, subject also to further review of our department. We have the Office of the Chief State Counsel, our legal department, who reviews proposed bills as well, Honorable Chair. And conversely, it is the position also of the department that we also recognize the existence of legal POGOs operating that provides livelihood or work to our Filipino personnel, but we also take note the submission of our economic managers. We defer and we submit to their statements earlier from the DOF, NEDA, as well as PAGCOR, Your Honor.
Thank you for that. Since we talked about livelihood, we'll go to Dole, who's here, and I think that's also a concern of many. Where's Dole? Ayan, sir. I think the concern of many will be the Filipinos who will be affected by the ban, no? If ever we will ban POGOs. But I want to show a slide, no? Slide 28. And this is the number of employees or the number of people working in the POGO industry based on DOLE submissions. And apparently, from the heydays of POGO in 2019, the number of people working in POGO was cut in half, from 118,000 to 57,000 or to 47,000 to date. And the distribution is equal, almost equal, 47% for foreigners and 52% for locals. But during the heydays, 82% were actually foreigners. No? So we're generating jobs not for our people but for foreigners. That's in 2019. No? Right now it's equal, and but then again, no? If you talk about industries, the ultimate goal is to generate all jobs for Filipinos, no? All jobs for our countrymen, and but in this particular case, half is generated to foreigners who are here in our country working. Nevertheless, we're very concerned with the 22,000 Filipinos working in the POGO industry, and in an eventual banning of POGOs, what can we extend, no? through DOLE? What can we extend to our kababayans who will be displaced with the ban in POGOs? No? So, and personally, I'm also very concerned with their situation. That's why in the bills that we are talking about right now, we will be putting some form of safety net, no? In order to upskill, to reskill, in order for them to look for replacement jobs, no? In an eventual banning of POGOs. No? But we want to hear from DOLE what are the programs that we can offer to our kababayans who will be displaced in an eventual ban of POGOs. No?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. First, I would like to thank the chairman and the members of the committee for inviting the Department of Labor and Employment through our Secretary, Honorable Jimbinedo Ilaguisma, in this particular hearing on the banning of online gambling. We in the Department of Labor and Employment would like to express our support to the Honorable Chair for the enactment of these three bills pending. Now, insofar as we would like to inform the Honorable Body that insofar as the gainful employment of the foreign national, it is being regulated by the department under our labor code of the Philippines and its issuances. Again, we are willing and able to extend our technical inputs in the event that these three bills will be enacted. Now, insofar as the displaced, the eventuality where the employees, workers will be displaced from out of the banning of this online gaming. We in the Department of Labor and Employment is ready to provide them with our programs. One, our facilitation program. We can train them, reskill or upscale them. Then we can provide them with a livelihood program that we have, and then we can we can also provide them with emergency employment in the event that they will be displaced. We have TUPAD program that is catered to any displaced worker, any displaced or vulnerable worker. That's all, sir.
And we have funds for that, USEC?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
We have funds for that, and that is actually intended for the displaced workers in the event that they will be considered as displaced.
Do you have any skills mapping of these Filipinos working in POGOs? For example, what type of jobs are they into right now? What type of skills do they have, so that we can offer them upskilling and reskilling program, or we can transfer them to other similar industries? Do we have a skills profile or a job profile of this 22,000?
We do not have a particular profile of their skills, but we can provide skills training, upscaling, and in the event that they will be displaced.
Okay.
Sir.
And my staff just provided me for the TUPAD program. You have 28 billion pesos for 2024. So this is a fund that you can tap into in order for to address and to assist displaced workers. No? Yeah, but may I request from DOLE to come up with a skills mapping or a job mapping of this 22,000 Filipinos who are employed in POGOs?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Actually, our regions, we have 16 regional offices. They are now undergoing the skills mapping on these POGOs that will be affected eventually by banning completely this gaming activity.
They go to your, I'm sure, I'm sure DOLE has a mechanism just to profile, no? For example, are we talking about drivers? Are we talking about helpers? Are we talking about IT people? I would assume that a lot of these Filipinos working in POGOs are IT inclined, or they have some form of IT background. No? So,
Some of them, Your Honor, but not all.
yeah, just submit to
Yes,
us a profile of the skills and the type of jobs that they are into right now in the POGO companies that they are working in.
We will do that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that. We also invited Bureau of Immigration, another
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
the DOF actually recognizes the potential impact, particularly on employment, due to a total ban, if ever, of the POGOs. If we may suggest for the consideration of the committee, if we can implement a phased-out banning of the POGO for the committee's consideration. Thank you.
Thank you for that. To Bureau of Immigration, Attorney Siriban.
Good afternoon, Mr.
Any
Chair.
comments on the measures?
Mr. Chair, on the part of the Bureau of Immigration, we'd like to inform the Honorable Committee that we strongly support the proposed Senate bills for the banning of online gambling and POGO operations, Your Honor. The BI will be submitting in the next few days a position paper, Your Honor, regarding the matter. Also, in addition and in support to the statements of USEC Gilberto Cruz of PAOK, we would just like to give a quick update on the deportation of foreign nationals arrested during the operation. So as of July 8, 2024, foreign nationals that were arrested in various raid operations in Las Piñas, Hongtay, Rivendell in Pasay, Smart 12 in Pasay, Sun Valley and Clark, in Banban, Tarlac, and Lucky South 99 in Porac, Pampanga. Out of the total 3,492 foreign nationals arrested, the BI has already deported 2,313 or roughly 70% already, Your Honor. So those foreign nationals already deported are effectively already in the blacklist. So they can no longer return to the country in case of any attempt to re-enter the Philippines, Your Honor. Exclusion orders will be issued by the Bureau of Immigration to bring them back to their home country, Mr. Chair. That would be all, Your Honor.
Attorney, how much, you mentioned that you've already deported 2,300 plus individuals. How much is the cost of deportation and who bears the cost of deportation?
Actually, Your Honor, the foreign national, or in this case, Your Honor, with the help of the PAAC, Your Honor, they are the only cost in deportation is the airline ticket, Your Honor. And they don't have to pay for any updating or extension fees in the BI, only the airline ticket, Your Honor. That's the only cost that we have to shoulder, and then we can already deport the foreign nationals, Your Honor.
But before deporting them, how long does it take to deport? Because there's a process, diba? For example, if PAOK raids and apprehends or rescued foreign individuals, it's not automatic that they will be deported. There's a process to that. No? So how long does it take for an individual to be deported? And in the meantime that they're in the country, obviously we have to feed them, we have to attend to their medical needs. Who pays for those costs? Is it BI also, or which agency bears those costs?
Your Honor, actually, it has been a challenge on the part of PAOK, Your Honor, because the legal custody of the foreign nationals arrested are with the BI. However, the physical custody are with PAOK. So they are the ones who, shoulder the food and other expenses, Your Honor. So on the part of the BI, from the time that they were referred to us, from the time of the arrest, it takes around a month or two, Your Honor, to prepare the necessary charge sheet and the deportation orders, Your Honor. So the only challenge of BI is sometimes the foreign nationals don't present their valid passports, which is a requirement in the eventual deportation. So we coordinate with the embassy, Your Honor, for the issuance of emergency travel documents, and with the help of PAOK, Your Honor, we procure airline tickets so that we can already deport them, Your Honor. So as of July 8, Your Honor, 70% has already been deported, Your Honor.
How much is that? Do you have a figure for that? That 70%. How much did the government spend for the deportation?
Well, Your Honor, with the airline ticket, usually it costs around one-way ticket to, for example, Your Honor, mainland China, around 15 to 20,000 pesos, Your Honor. So multiply it with the 2,313, Your Honor, that would be basically.
And that doesn't include the 2 months stay. Diba?
Yes, Your
Just
Honor,
1 to
that
2
does
months.
not yet include the necessary food provisions and the lodging, Your Honor. So it really costs the government already.
So my staff just told me that to deport that 2,300,
46 million.
it's about 46 million pesos.
Yes, Your Honor, around 46 million only for the airline ticket, but well, in addition to the food supplies and
Yeah,
other lodging necessary, so it will be added more, Your Honor. So it really costs the government to for them to stay here in the Philippines.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We have also a resource person from the private sector who can enlighten us on the proposal. Mr. David Lichu, who's also was part of the previous hearings that we conducted, and I thank Mr. Lichu for his generosity in coming here and sharing his time with us. So, any comments, Mr. Lichu? I've read your report, and in the news you also made some comments on the overall property sector and the ban in POGOs. Well, before, no? I think during the initial phase of POGOs, the ban in POGOs definitely will have direct effect on the property market. I remember at one time during the heydays of POGOs, POGOs occupy about 45%, no, more or less, of the commercial leasable space in our country. But we also saw a different trend after the pandemic. They were building their own facilities already. No? As case in point will be in Porac and in Bamban. So we would like to be enlightened by your expert opinion on how a ban in POGOs will affect the property market. Will it still affect the property market considering that they are shifting in terms of strategy? And any thoughts on the proposals to ban POGOs and also online gaming? No?
Well, thank you very much for having me over, Senator Gatchalian, and good afternoon to everyone. So, first of all, I'd like to say that it's lamentable that we have all these problems, all these social problems that is really causing us to totally ban this industry. I for one think that we are doing so at the expense of the ones that are complying with the law, because not all the POGOs are defiant or in violation. But if it is the best for the country, then I suppose the only appeal is to be able to do that in a phased manner. Not so much for the property sector anymore, but mainly for the people who will lose their jobs. You mentioned drivers and maids. Well, those drivers and maids are paid 3 to 4 times what the local will pay, and for those people, they are becoming more prosperous than they were prior to the POGO sector. When I first went to Cagayan Export Processing Zone, where it was a hub for POGOs many years ago, many of the locals there said that prior to the POGO's arrival there, they just fed off the sea. And so if the weather was bad, they starved. And because of the POGO, there was a level of economic activity that made them quite able to meet their needs. And I suppose if we look at what happened in Porac and what happened in Bamban, very small communities where they became the largest economic driver in those areas. And the local community might have protected them until they were discovered, primarily because they were such a big economic contributor to those locations where there are very few investors. Again, it is unfortunate that we seem to attract a number of these mafia, gangster-related operations, but I want to stress that not all of them are like that. At least the ones that we have dealt business and signed deals in Makati or Pasay comply with the very strict regulations of the government. I suppose we attract all these gangsters, but as what some in the panel have said also, is that we need a sense of reflection on why we allow these gangsters to operate, and we cooperate with these gangsters. So that is probably a point of reflection for us as a community, and what drives us to do these things. I mean, it's not just this industry. If you look at sexual abuse amongst minors, we have to ask ourselves, why do parents sell their children? What drives them to those motives and to those actions? It's a big social issue. It's a big philosophical and education issue. I did notice from the gentleman from the Department of Finance that one of the costs is 500 million pesos going to enforcement of the law, and perhaps that these issues that we're going through could be partially addressed by doubling or tripling or quadrupling of that budget, because the revenues that we're generating from this industry alone can justify that multiple increase in law enforcement, whether that comes in terms of better technology or better manpower or better training of manpower. That's beyond me. As far as the property market is concerned, we think the industry still occupies 1 million square meters of office space, and this is the ones that we have tracked legitimately. The ones that happened in Bamban and Porac were totally out of our radar. But there is a benefit for the ones that are complying, and that benefit is quite significant. It's not just about the rent they pay. It's about the confidence that they instill in entrepreneurs to take risk and build more buildings. Building those buildings isn't just a matter of taking a loan. It's about building communities all throughout the country. That is one of the things that we are going to lose if we have a total and sudden ban of this market, because we're not just going to hurt the illegal operators, but we're also going to hurt the legitimate ones that are gainfully employing a lot of people. Yes, I do abhor the social ills that are attached to this industry, but that is primarily driven by people who shouldn't be here in the first place. And I think a big portion of that solution is about better enforcement that may or may not be solved by more funding. I don't know. I also would like to propose that the POGO sector, or the BPO segment of the POGO sector, isn't just about China. Australia, Japan, US, Canada are very big gambling markets, and we can benefit from that by trying to entice them to set operations here, and hopefully they will be more compliant than their Chinese counterparts. There is a very big market that we will forgo that will bring investment here, legitimate investment, if we just shut them down altogether. Lastly, I think the benefit of if we do proceed with banning the POGO sector and the online gaming sector, then a staggered process will make it easier for developers to find replacement tenants, because there's 18 million square meters of office space today all over the country. 18 million. The POGO sector only occupies 1 million square meters. At the height, it was probably 2 million square meters. At the most that they occupy is about 1 million square meters. Maybe the stragglers and the illegals and the big POGO hubs like Porac are fewer and far between. I don't think there are the majority of the cases. I defended the POGO sector quite vocally in the last 3 years, primarily because of the economic benefits that we could not lose. In my opinion, we could not afford to lose during the pandemic season and the process as we exited from the pandemic. Now, 4 years after, with less office space overhang, there's still 3 million square meters of office space vacant all over the Philippines. If we remove this altogether, that will add another million at a time when the property market is trying to recover from this crisis. Why is this so important? Because the Philippines is in a very, very enviable position as far as the office market is concerned all over the world. Today, the office market in the US, the office market in Canada, the office market in Western Europe, the office market in Australia are all being destroyed right now because of the effects of the pandemic, work from home, high interest rates, high inflation. They're being destroyed at the moment, and that's producing turbulence in the banking sector. The Philippines is one of the few countries where demand is still growing net positive. And we have to be quite thankful for that. And if we are going to shut down a large portion of this demand driver, then I would encourage that we do so in a processed manner and not just abruptly. I don't think that shutting the sector will dramatically and negatively impact the property sector, and I don't think that will lead to anything larger that will impact the banking sector, unlike what we're seeing in most parts of the world. But we also have to appreciate what we actually are enjoying from this segment of the market. And again, I say that as I abhor the social ills that a number of illegal operators are doing. And again, I would rather that we try to find a balance there. But I do agree that if we cannot seem to regulate and enforce the law properly, then I guess the easy way out is just to ban the industry altogether. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Mr. Lichu, you mentioned earlier there's still existing POGO companies leasing space of about 1 million square meters. Is that correct?
More or less, sir. We think it's at least 700,000 square meters, so as much as 1 million.
In your observation, are they still expanding? Meaning, are they still leasing spaces?
Yes.
Are they contracting?
A number have contracted. Some are expanding. Very few are expanding. And so I think net the industry is still shrinking.
Okay. And then the space that they left, this POGO companies or the overall industry is shrinking. So they free up space. What industries are taking up those spaces?
Because of the contraction of the POGO sector, the rents have fallen quite dramatically in the Bay Area, as an example, in this area, in where we are. And that's allowed government agencies to upgrade their offices. So the Department of Foreign Affairs, the Department of Trade and Industry, the NBI have all just taken brand new leases recently at quite preferential rates because of the cheaper rents, and it's allowed them to upgrade their offices to much better facilities. The other thing is some of these spaces are taken up by the BPO sector. The BPO sector still is the largest demand driver for office space.
Do you think that prices have already fallen to a much more reasonable and acceptable level? Because during the past, especially in 2019, complaints were, I'm sure you've heard this, but there are a lot of complaints that because of the rapid expansion of POGOs, they took up a lot of the office spaces as well as residential spaces at a premium, because they can offer much higher rates, both for residential and for commercial. And it eventually pushed out small businesses as well as even legitimate big size businesses or businesses that who have been there for a long time. So I was looking at some of the reports, including your reports, that lease rates have fallen because a lot of them have left or are not expanding, but fallen to a point that it's reasonable for corporations to take up the space, and also, like you said, government agencies to expand their offices. So my question is, has it reached the equilibrium or has it reached the reasonable level in terms of lease prices?
I think that it's always a balance between investors that are happy with rent and tenants that are willing to pay rent. I think we're beyond the point where it is reasonable for developers to keep building. So the rents fell because of two reasons. One is that the POGOs contracted dramatically during 2020 to today. But the second reason is the cheap money from all the QE that governments did all around the world brought interest rates to record lows, and that propelled developers of all kinds to develop office space, way too much office space for us to absorb. We predicted that to happen in 2016, but the POGO sector came in to sweep up all that vacant space. And so the process of this oversupply that we're going through right now actually was delayed by 4 years because of the POGO sector. So that's been a tremendous benefit, and that's why now that things are more stable, so we don't have 4 million, we now have only 3 million square meters of vacant office space. We're hoping that the demand from both the traditional businesses and the BPO sector will continue to absorb spaces. So rents should be a lot lower than they are today, but they are not because the developers continue to be resilient. If a crisis knocks down that resiliency, then you will see rents crash through the floor. But already, because of the low rents, it does not make it viable for developers to build more space. The confidence level of developers today is very low. That's why you see the pipeline of office and construction in general to drop in the next 5-7 years. So if we are trying to estimate the impact of this industry, we have to quantify and factor the amount of space that could have been built in many undeveloped areas but are not being built because of the low confidence levels of developers. And as a summary, that confidence level is because they are afraid about the demand, the uncertainty in demand, and second, the low rents because of the high vacancies. So these are the two things that we have to factor. Today, as rents are low, we probably have 3 to 5 years worth of vacant office space today. So it will take 3 to 5 years to achieve equilibrium in the office sector. Some districts faster than others. But what this will actually do is it will impair development of many places outside of Manila. And that's something that we can't quantify. Money that could have spilled over to the provinces are not going to happen.
In case, I know that there's excess capacity right now. You mentioned about 3 million. In case, assuming we push through with the proposal to ban POGOs, and so the effect there is 1 million of space will now be freed up. Which industry can take up that 1 million plus 3 million? And I'm assuming that prices will further go down, obviously. No?
Yes, sir.
But from your experience, what industries can replace those freed up spaces? And I say this because I noticed that POGOs also occupy a unique office space. No, I would assume. No, they're not the typical office space. Probably they're one like a BPO. No, they're one big floor and it's probably a IT oriented building. So I say that because I want to understand also what type of industries can replace those office spaces that they will be leaving.
At this moment, sir, I only see the traditional offices and BPOs taking it up, and if that's the case, then it will still take 3 to 5 years, 3 years at best, 5 years to achieve equilibrium. Although I think by 2028, 2027, vacancy rates will be closer to between 8 to 10%, and that should give it some level of balance already. But it's only then that developers will start saying, okay, vacancies are okay now, let's start building. And then you won't feel the impact of that until the buildings are up 2 to 3 years after. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Mr. Lichu. And let me call on the ICT. I think we've heard a lot of the comments, engineer and attorney.
Yes, good afternoon po. Good afternoon po, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I'm Gladys De Ocampo from the ICT. And on our part, we fully support the bills stated. And as the ICT po, to address yung concerns kanina, as the ICT, we can create the policies and the guidelines for which to support the banning of the POGOs. And the concern of Yusek Cruz po, when it comes to registered SIMs na po yung mga fake identities. I do understand that NTC in practice currently with the SIM Registration Act, all the telcos are do implement this live selfie capture, facial liveliness check. So lahat po sila nagko-comply doon with it when it comes to SIM registration. I think there are several pa. May facial recognition and matching pa po. And then optical character recognition. Of course, yung disabled stock photo upload. Yung mga pagka i-upload po yun nasa photo lang, hindi po pwede siya. Tama ba, sir? Attorney. And to also address naman yung virtual asset concern with when it comes to NBI, we have the CICC that could, they have digital forensics po that could probably trace itong mga virtual assets, yung movement. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, as the ICT, we could create the guidelines. Currently po, we work with other agencies, no? When it comes to telcos, when it comes to SIM registration, we cascade with NTC. So when it comes to digital privacy, mga breaches po, we cascade with NPC. And when it becomes a cybercrime, so sa CICC po tayo. All others, syempre, I come from the Cybersecurity Bureau. Currently, we are coordinating with all agencies para sa kanilang computer emergency response team. If you're familiar with it, of course, we are also trying to draft yung Cybersecurity Act for protection naman po ng ating cyberspace. But among others, pagka po may concern si na agency when it comes to digital transformation or security on cyberspace, nakikipag-coordinate naman po. And we do assist with the creation of their guidelines specific to their offices. Yun po, sir.
Well, the biggest elephant in the room is the SIM card registration implementation. I think we've seen that we had a lot of high hopes when that law was signed, but it seems to me that it's still far from ideal. I think all of us still get a lot of nag-offer ng condo, nag-offer ng loan. I still get that a lot. But the most glaring violations were the ones discovered by PAOK during the raids. I'm sure you've seen it. No? And I've seen it personally. So what can we do to stop? You mentioned some safeguards, no, that are being implemented, but have you reviewed whether the telcos have actually implemented those safeguards and have actually only registered legitimate persons?
If I may, Mr. Chair, i-refer ko na lang po sa ating NTC representative po.
Sige, go ahead.
Kay Attorney Castel.
Attorney Castelar.
po.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. In 2023, NTC issued Memorandum Order 10-9-2023 and directed the telcos to adopt the latest technologies in their SIM registration platform. And after after more than 6 months, the NTC has been validating that these live selfie captures, facial liveliness, disabled stock photo upload, facial recognition and matching, and optical character recognition has been adopted by the telcos. But we've also noticed that, as reported by our regional offices, there are still instances where SIMs are being sold and irregularly registered as assisted by the sellers in the provinces, Your Honor. And so that's why there's still a need to tighten, I think, and also monitor the performance of the telcos as they comply with Memorandum Order 10-9-2023.
So in other words, only legitimate persons can buy SIM cards right now.
No, as of now, Your Honor, anybody can buy a SIM card, but they
Correct.
should follow the registration process under the SIM registration law. And the telco should provide an electronic platform for the telcos to, for the subscribers to register safely and securely, and also to prevent irregular registrations.
Yeah,
of
correct.
SIMs.
Because the problem, I think we had a hearing on this one time and I remember yung mga unggoy, diba? Unggoy, elepante, pwedeng bumili ng SIM cards No? So
that was the
that-
infancy stage, Your Honor, of
Yeah, but
the
now
SIM registration.
because of the technology you mentioned, that is not possible anymore.
We have
Only legitimate
validated
persons.
We have validated that, Your Honor, in the NTC, and right now the stricter protocols are in place.
Okay.
So let's say a stock photo cannot be uploaded to serve as the registrant sa identity. Now it has to be an actual live face that's blinking, that's moving, and of course it will no longer accept non-human registrants.
Those SIM cards recovered by PAOK, thousands of them were recovered. Have you investigated on how they were issued? I think we should also learn from those experiences so that we can prevent. Because I'm trying to imagine, how can one person or several persons be issued thousands of SIM cards and get away with it? I mean, that should be a red flag already. No? Of course, the telcos will sell SIM cards to anyone, no? Because that's revenue. But from a regulator standpoint, that should be red flag. That should be a red flag already that should trigger some form of investigation or some form of warning.
As we have observed, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, based on several meetings with the telcos and seeking their inputs on the findings of the PAOK and other agencies, we have determined that the so-called pre-registered SIMs are actually irregularly registered SIMs, either by the buyers or perpetrators of scams, or maybe they were able to acquire it through vendors that have registered it irregularly, maybe taking advantage of the earlier registration platform that was quite unprepared and lax by them before the adoption of the artificial intelligence and other technologies that will now tighten the the online registration platform.
All right. Well, it's good to hear that. I hope those thousands of SIM cards will be the end of it, no? Because the SIM cards became the accessory for scamming. That's the choice of weapon no, to scam individuals. No? And we've seen that on the ground. No? And that's why we have to again, we have to learn from that experience. No? Hopefully, the technologies that you mentioned will put an end to this type of criminal activities. No? Hopefully. Now, I also heard from Engineer Ocampo that you support the bill. Diba? And the bill calls for banning of online games, no? Online gaming,
Yes, Your
including offshore and domestic taking of bets. Now, earlier during the discussion with PAGCOR, shutting down websites is a very complex activity. No? It's para siyang cat and mouse. No? It's a cat and mouse activity. And of course, the government agencies rely on DICT for this. I don't think PAGCOR or any government agency can do it on their own. They have to go through DICT, as I understand it. Can we do it? For example, if we ban online gaming, and then all of these guys go underground and all of these guys go gray market, and then we will ask the ICT to ban it. Can you do it? Can you ban the 7,000 websites mentioned before? Or we might just end up with, all of them going underground, and we have a bigger problem of enforcement. So
It's a possibility po, Your Honor. But then in practice po, NTC do ban websites, but this it requires a bit of trigger. Now, these bills, if banned po ang POGO, it will provide a legal reference or legal trigger for NTC to block these websites. In practice po, meron tayo from the OSAIC Act. So, pagka po meron child pornography, i-request po or ikakascade kay isisend kay DICT for blocking dahil po merong na-prove na crime na nagawa si website. So, ikakascade po namin kay NTC. So, si NTC po mag-issue ng memorandum kay ISP to block this website. So, we have also yung anti-voyeurism, and then yun po. So that's the process that we do in lack thereof ng mandate ni DICT na mag-block directly. So with this bill, if we are actually banning this websites, pwede po natin yung i-request through NTC na sila po ang nagre-regulate. In practice naman po ito, sinusuportahan po yung ibang mga acts na existing natin.
fast, what is the process and how fast to block websites? For example, first of all, what is the trigger? Who triggers the blocking of website? Is it PAGCOR? Is it the PNP? Who gives the instruction to block all of these websites?
Your Honor, we usually receive an endorsement from either the CICC, PAGCOR, the Games and Amusement Board, and mostly the Philippine National Police Anti-Cybercrime Group.
That's enough already. Once you receive that letter of request, that's enough for you to move and block the websites.
Yes, Your Honor, because, for example, the PNP-ACG is a law enforcement agency, particularly with a particular expertise on cybercrimes and also online gambling. And so we take the endorsement on its face, and we now direct internet service providers and the telcos to block those links and sites.
That General Villanueva mentioned that earlier. So you go through the ISPs to block it.
We direct the ISPs.
NTC does not block it
Your Honor.
directly.
It is not NTC blocking itself. It's NTC directing the telcos and the ISPs that are under our regulatory jurisdiction, and for them to block these particular sites that have been determined by other regulatory agencies or the PNP-ACG to have been violating the laws.
How many ISPs and telcos do you instruct to block a particular website?
Your Honor, around 800, Your Honor.
So how do you inform 800? Do you
We-
email them right one by one? How do you?
We have a facility to blast to the information to these entities, Your Honor.
And then how do you validate whether they've blocked it or not? Is there a
They submit a report to us, Your Honor.
okay? So for example, I heard earlier that there's now PAGCOR is going. I think. Going to send you a letter or going to advise you to block 7,000 websites. So the process there is you will send 800 ISPs the names of those 7,000 websites, and they will block the 7,000 websites and give you feedback that they have blocked the 7,000 websites.
Yes, Mr. Chair. PAGCOR has actually been coordinating with NTC on these matters. And so we regularly direct ISPs and telcos to block particular identified web links that are engaged in illegal e-sabong or other types of online gaming.
Okay. Is there any penalty, for example, if the ISP will not block? For example, one ISP is in connivance with an internet website or an e-gambling website.
If the Commission determines, Your Honor, that any particular ISP is non-compliant or refuses to comply with the directive of the Commission, then we can initiate an administrative case under the provisions of the Public Service Act.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that feedback. Since we're talking about on e-gaming, I would like to ask PAGCOR, how many people are employed by e-gaming? Do we have that number? For example, in POGOs, there are about 42,000, of which 22 are Filipinos, 20,000 are foreigners. In e-gaming, how many employees or how many people are working in e-gaming?
Well, just an estimate. With our licensees, I'm just getting the number now. It's about 100,000. 100,000, more or less. This includes the brick and mortar already, and then, Mr. Chairman, I want you to know that the big integrated resorts, are also now setting up, and some have already set up their respective online gaming platforms, and in the proposals that we have approved, they are really going to heavily employ Filipinos. In fact, one big IR is using, if I'm not mistaken, close to 3,000 or 5,000 square meters to be able to start running their online gaming business. So aside from the brick and mortar and our licensees, I want to emphasize, Mr. Chairman, that the land-based casinos are already not only preparing, but they're starting already their own online gaming businesses. As maybe you have read, major land-based casinos all over the world have already started setting up their online gaming businesses. And recently, I had read a report on online gaming. There are about 10 big countries that have opened up their jurisdictions for online gaming. To cite a few, you have Mexico, Italy, of course, US and Canada, Germany, Brazil. So in line, if I may just say this, in line with what Mr. Lee Chu had said earlier, part of the, balik lang po tayo sa POGO, segue lang po sa POGO, Mr. Chairman. I had mentioned this in the last hearing. In my administration, we have created the SBPO for the different online gaming companies worldwide. And so far, Mr. Chairman, we have already licensed 10, and we still have many applicants. And maybe I just want to echo what Mr. Licho had said earlier. This is a very big opportunity for us. Unfortunately, the illegals are really lording in sense of creating all this sensational news. I totally understand the criminal activities that they are doing. Definitely, even PAGCOR condemns all. But all I'm saying is that there is a big segment now, and I don't think in the numbers of DOLE that were presented earlier, that is included already. And in our database, is close to another 10,000. Employed po, Mr. Chairman, dito sa special BPO na tinatawag ng PAGCOR. And they are servicing clients in the different jurisdictions all over the world. And they are basically the customer service agents. So, for example, a big company in Mexico will contact a BPO in Manila. And that BPO will set up their division to cater to the customer service needs of that online gaming or even land-based gaming company in another country. Just like the basic principle of a BPO, if I'm not mistaken, where we service the customer or the backroom operations and the customer service needs of foreign companies that are not in the Philippines. So, I would like to echo what Mr. Licho was saying earlier, that in your study, in the committee study, in all these proposals, maybe we should also consider that there are really legitimate businesses who are engaged in legitimate operations. Pag linahat naman po natin yung mga yan, talaga namang how, in fact, most, if not all of them, are foreign corporations. What do we tell them? They are doing legal businesses, or they were operating their businesses legally, and then they're affected by all these criminal activities that they do not have any control of. So, dun lang naman po ako nagmumula. And Mr. Licho, I want you to know also that PAGCOR was a beneficiary of the low rental rates. You were talking of government offices. I do not know if you're aware. PAGCOR just consolidated our offices. We were in a few buildings all over Metro Manila. We are now in the Bay Area and took advantage of the low rates. So we are now, for the first time, after 41 years, PAGCOR is all together in one building, and we are in the Bay Area. So kami din po ay one of those who, in the question of the chairman, who can occupy? We are one of those government offices that occupied one entire building in the Bay Area. And the rates, Mr. Chairman, were very, very reasonable already. So nakinabang po kami doon sa vacancy na sinasabi ni Mr. Licho. So yun lang po. The SBPO, we created this because there were clamors, and also, Mr. Chairman, we made it very easy for all those who wanted to have this SBPO licenses. We got a ruling from the Office of the Solicitor General, hindi na po kailangan ng mga lono-lono para lang to encourage these BPOs to bring their clients in Manila. As Mr. Licho had mentioned, and I have a report, all over the world, binubuksan na po ang online gaming. Maliwanag po yan. And we will benefit from it because they will be needing customer service agents. When you place a bet, the customer will normally check on what is his balance, what his winnings, his losses, and most probably, as Mr. Licho a real estate guru in the Philippines, said, we will definitely benefit from it. So, in your study, in the study that the different or this committee or different committees are undertaking, I would like also for these different committees to consider this aspect of the BPO. Kasi earlier, I also heard you asking if the other BPOs can also take up that 3 million square meters of vacant space right now. I would just like to emphasize, Mr. Chairman, that PAGCOR has this new SBPO license that we have issued. We started this during my time, 2023 po, nung inumpisa namin. And we have been successful, and we have 10 companies now registered, Mr. Chairman. And we have now calls and from people who are or companies who are interested about this special BPO license that PAGCOR has started to give out.
Thank you. And the SBPO caters to gaming companies.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, gaming companies who are abroad. We can give you a list of these companies. In fact, I just do not know. There are known BPO companies in Manila. So, what happens is they service the needs of the gaming companies outside the Philippines.
Balik lang ko, Chairman, dun sa employees. No? You said in the e-gaming, and you said there are 100,000 employees being employed right now?
It is being confirmed by Attorney Luglug, the head of the electronic gaming. There are about 100,000.
How many are Filipinos? How many are foreigners?
Oh, most of them are Filipinos. How many percent? 90% are Filipinos.
Okay.
Yun po gusto natin dito po kasi hindi kailangan ng foreign speaking masyado. So 90% po ay Filipinos. So the ratio is 9 out of 10 are Filipinos.
How about in this SBPO?
All Filipinos po.
All Filipinos.
Because they're considered, Mr. Chairman, as a BPO. So para po. So siguro there are a few supervisors, but generally speaking, more 90% at the very least are Filipinos also.
Well, Chairman, I go back to the original intention of the authors to ban online gaming. I think everyone now, including myself, have pretty good understanding of this online gaming. To be honest about it, this past few years, the highlight was on POGOs. No? Little is known with this online gaming. But the online gaming, as we understand it, employs 100,000 people, 90% of which are Filipinos, generates about...
This year, we're expecting anywhere between 38 to 42 billion
pesos.
po. Sa amin lang po yun, Mr. Chairman, sa PAGCOR, based on the license fees that we have. By the way, we have brought down our license fees already, and we're at par with the different jurisdictions around the world.
In BIR, do we have the tax collection for e-gaming?
Mr. Chair, we're currently extracting the data for e-gaming in general. Unfortunately, as compared to POGOs, it isn't as regularly monitored. But we will produce that and we'll submit to the committee.
Just submit to us, no? As soon as you have the data and also the list of corporations or the entities, not the list of corporations, but the entities. Just submit to us the total collection from e-gaming entities. No?
Will do po.
All right, thank you. Actually, Mr. Chairman, the intention really is to curb social ills by online gaming. Particularly, we had malaki kasi yung phobia na nangyari sa isabong. I think isabong really created a lot of negative perceptions on e-gaming, no? Especially when that 40 Sabongeros disappeared, and then yun na nga, mentioned by General Tataka that some of our men in uniform, including probably government employees, are gambling through online gaming. That's why ako personally, any talk of reviving isabong, I will be against it, no? Because it's I've seen the damage that it has done to our society. I've seen it, no? High school students in our community betting on isabong during the pandemic. Kasi admittedly, during the pandemic, everyone was hooked online, no? So I've seen that personally, and I will really be against any talk of reviving isabong. Now, we still have a lot of things to do in terms of regulation, no, on online gaming. And I'll show a video. Kasi I saw in your guidelines that, tama po ba, Chairman, only 21 years old can bet?
Yung pong KYC is dapat 21 years old.
KYC is 21 years old?
Yes.
And then no government employee?
Well, yung pong no government employee is for land-based casinos, and I suppose it's for everywhere, no? But wala pong specific rule doon sa online game.
And that is the problem, no? Because nga...
bawal din po pala, sorry. Maski po, I'm sorry.
I saw in the guidelines, bawal.
I'm sorry. 21 years old, no government employee, and dapat po lumusot doon sa KYC.
Oo. I asked my staff to open an account in one of the e-gaming, just to test the age, and also ito government employee to, no, and even the name, no. So we tested it. Yan, ito, paki-play lang, no? So medyo mabilis lang. Can we slow it down? Yan. Ulitin na lang natin. Can we let's repeat it. Just to open an account lang, no? To test whether the safeguards are present. Okay, go ahead. Medyo mabilis, ano? Hold on, ha? Yeah, can we let's play na lang the original kasi that one is fast, eh. So anyways, before my staff's preparing, we wanted to test whether only 21 years old can bet, only non-government employees can register, and legitimate persons, no? Obviously, if you can hide your identity, that's also another problem, no? So we'll show the video later on. But before that, I'll go to DOF first, no, while my staff is preparing the data. To the DOF, I know that DOF is very strict with revenue collection, Ase Carlo. If we ban POGO, I'll go back to POGOs, no? If we ban POGOs, there will be a 10 billion peso dent on our recovery of revenues, or in the collection of revenues. How will that affect our fiscal situation and the overall collection of revenues?
Mr. Chair, a 10 billion decrease in revenue is less than 0.1% of GDP. But again, what we did here is we're comparing the economic benefits and economic cost, just like what we do in the provision of incentives. We take a look at the total picture and see if the benefits are greater than the cost. So again, it's 10 billion, but in terms of as percent of GDP, it's less than 0.1% of GDP.
But in terms of revenue collection, will it be a substantial reduction in our government tax collection? I'll show a slide, no? Slide 16. If you compare 10 billion to the overall collection, which is about, what, 5.7 trillion? So that's about 0.30% for 2023. 0.3% to the total, less than a percent to the total revenue collection. And if you compare it to the total economic output, which is GDP, that's about 0.04%. So will that, in other words, if this collection disappears, will it affect our revenue collection and will it affect our economy? I think that is a more important question.
Mr. Chair, if you're going to take a look as percent of GDP, the 10 billion, it's relatively small. But again, given our current situation that our debt to GDP ratio is still relatively high, every peso counts. But definitely, what we did is, again, we compared the total cost and benefits, and then our recommendation is based on that. So we're willing to forego the revenues as long as the benefits in the short or medium term will be higher than the potential cost of continuous operation of POGOs.
Thank you for that. So in other words, looking at the much bigger picture, it's generating negative effects using the cost-benefit analysis.
Mr. Chair, I would like to note again that our position is restricted to POGOs only.
Yes, yes.
We're for now.
Correct.
We don't have a position yet if the recommendation or the proposal is the ban of the whole online gambling activity. Definitely, if you take a look at the revenues of PAGCOR, online gaming is around 30% of their revenues compared to POGOs is only around 3% or 4%. So we have to take a look as well with the BIR on how much taxes we collect for the whole online gaming industry.
All right. Thank you.
And
Thanks
also,
for that.
Mr. Chair, we're also continuously updating our cost-benefit analysis for POGOs.
Okay. Thank you for that. Are we okay with the video? Yeah, and so again, we asked our staff to go online and open an account with a gaming app. Yan. So, and the name is eGames. I'm not promoting it, I'm just saying it. No? Yan. So, put your age mo, put mo yung pangalan mo. Yan. Obviously, this is a fake name. Diba? Parang parang yung unggoy yan sa SIM card. No? And then you put the birth date. And you put the address, and then my OTP to validate if you're a real person or someone who has a cell phone. Then, yan, na-create na yung account mo. You can now gamble. So that's the point, Chairman, is walang age verification. Wala siyang, whether you're government employee or not, there is no KYC in opening the account.
Actually,
So, yeah, go ahead, Chairman.
sige.
Go ahead.
Actually, these are the loopholes that we're looking at. Let's talk even with land-based operations. There is a executive order that no government official can enter. With the millions of or millions of civil servants in the Philippines, talaga pong hirap din ano. Pero Chairman, I want you to know, ang catch po dito, pagka may nag-tip, if you are trying to encash your winnings, there is where verification comes in. In fact, we have thousands of cases wherein under my administration, under my watch, elected officials po, as high as, hindi ko nababanggitin, nahuhuli po, hindi makapag-withdraw, they win the jackpot, they want to withdraw their winnings. We do not allow that. And that happens. Now with regard to, balik naman po tayo sa online gaming, it's the same process. Bawal din po ang civil servant. Bawal din po ang 21 years and below. But as I said, these are independent platforms, but ganun din po ang sistema namin. And we can send you a report, Mr. Chairman, na madami po kaming hindi na rin pinayagang mag-withdraw just to make it known to them that they were illegally registered. Meaning may mali sa proseso. Now, there are new tools. There are vendors now who are showing PAGCOR new tools to enhance KYCs. There are, in fact, meron na po doon kasama yung self-inclusion. Ikaw na mismo, you already feel that you're hopeless or addicted to gaming. You can already press a button and automatic, the whole system will never allow you to register or never allow you to play again. No? So these are the modern tools. Chairman, as you very well know, the process of technology talaga evolves. So, as I said, hindi ko po kinukontra yung taga-NTC at DICT. Yung sinabi ni Chairman kanina na susulat kami, hindi po. Nakasulat na po kami sa loob ng halos 2 taon po ako nandun, 7,747 na po yung cases na nadala namin sa inyo. And sa amin pong record, malaki pong in-improve. From 62%, ngayon po 74% na po ang inyong nabla-block na website. So, gusto ko lang, I'm not defending the system, Chairman, but I think it will have to, as each day passes, and we just have to continuously monitor and continuously see what improvements we can do. Because really, it's a IT is truly complicated. That much I can say up to this very point in time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for that feedback, Chairman. The point there, Chairman, is the authors of the bill feels that the social ills of online gambling is much more easily accessible to anyone, no? Because of the convenience of the internet. And we all know that the internet is a wonderful thing, no? Wonderful technology, but it also has downsides. And one of which is, it's so convenient to open an account, so convenient to lie, to fake, and that creates problems with our society, particularly people working in government, the police force, men in uniform, and that's what we are trying to avoid, no? And we just want to demonstrate this because that's precisely what our senators want to avoid. Now, that's why I'm trying to understand this business and trying to understand this business model. But I strongly suggest to take a look at the loopholes that you mentioned, and if we can plug this ASAP, then that will be good for our society. No, it's really a societal issue, because once you get hooked on online gambling, it can be very, very devastating for our community, especially the young. No, ako personally, I'm very concerned with students and the young, the youth, minors in particular. And I said nga, ito kanina we've shown that it required the age, but there's no verification, so you can actually lie about your age. No, so those are the things that we need to improve on, and those are the things that we need to be strict on, no, through regulation. And but rest assured that we'll be studying this industry very well, as you mentioned earlier. For me, POGO, it's really my position with POGO is to ban it completely. No, it didn't bring us any good. It brought us a lot of shame abroad. Our enforcers are really up to their necks in terms of monitoring and enforcing, and it's not a long-term business that we want in our country. On the case of online gaming, which I learned about more thoroughly today, is something that we will study very carefully. But thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on this matter. Any reaction, Chairman?
Oh, well, I just want to also thank you for the opportunity for PAGCOR to explain. I hope you do understand our position, being the regulatory body that's supposed to take charge of any gaming activity in the country. It is our position really that proper regulation will be an answer to all these problems. No? And online gaming is new not only to people who are in this room, but I think to the entire universe. And I know it will take some time, but I am one with you, Chairman, and the senators who have proposed that stricter structures and monitoring is really important at this point in time. As a new technology, something new in for all of us, I would also say that we are not perfect at this time. But please be assured that the concerns that you have brought up in this committee, especially the impact on the youth who might be addicted to online gaming, we are really looking into it, and I have given emphasis on that. KYC will be a very important feature, and so far our best answer is totally one cannot withdraw or one cannot participate anymore if you are caught. And I just hope that as technology evolves, there will be more tools that we can make use of, so we can truly monitor if one is following all the guidelines that we have set forward. Again, Chairman, Senator Win, thank you for the opportunity that you've given us. And if there's anything we can do to help you or the other senators understand better what are the goings on in the industry, please feel free to call on us. Maraming salamat po.
Before we suspend the proceedings, any comments or anyone who wants to react to our discussions today before we end our proceedings? Yes, go ahead, Attorney.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. On the part of APECO, we would like to support the move of our legislature to totally ban POGO, including online gaming. In fact, it is the general position of APECO to strongly support any effort to prohibit online gaming in the Philippines and stop the proliferation of Philippine offshore gaming operations. Upon assuming office, Mr. Chairman, on October 13, 2023, it has been the clear and categorical position of the new APECO management to pursue course corrective initiatives to pivot away from gaming, both online and traditional operations. That has had little or to no positive effect on APECO. That actually is the experience of APECO with regard to offshore gaming. APECO is unequivocal in preventing the proliferation of online gaming due to its societal effects, inimical to nation building, sustainable development, and growth. The truth, Mr. Chairman, is that we are now in the thick of finalizing our policy paper, which will justify the banning of POGO and online gaming within our ecozone. Because the truth is, in our experience in APECO po, what the previous management did was it list out the entire administration building to a POGO operator. Although, according to the POGO operator, they are not. They are just service provider. But if we go by the definition of what they do, it's clearly a POGO operator. Imagine, Mr. Chairman, it only generated, since 2019, it only generated not more than 30 employments, in the ecozone. And these jobs, Your Honor, came at the cost of turning APECO corporate campus into a closely guarded enclave. APECO employees being forced to utilize 2 vacation villas and 3 container vans as makeshift office spaces because of the closing off of the administration building. So it's really absurd, Mr. Chairman. But with regard, Your Honor, to some of the provisions, APECO would like to give its own comments and observations in the hope that it may help the committees craft a law banning POGO and online gaming. Of the many that we've drawn in our position paper, actually, Mr. Chairman, this is just a preliminary position paper. We'll be submitting, we will honor the committees with a more comprehensive position paper. We will consider all, Mr. Chairman, all the observations and comments that we've gathered today in that more comprehensive position paper. But we would like to emphasize, Mr. Chairman, that we would like to propose a stiffer penalty. If you look at the current gambling law, it provides stiffer penalty. But in the proposed bills, it would appear that it does not. So we humbly propose that we, at least, Mr. Chairman, at least 6 years and 1 day to 14 years, depending on the violation. And not only that, Mr. Chairman, if we look closely at the provisions, we would like to propose that those who will be held liable be expanded, no? Not limited to the bettors or the operators. We all know that the gaming, the POGO operation, would also depend on other actors, no? Like the designers of the applications in the platform, personnel who maintain the computer systems, who provide other services to ensure that gambling platform remain active. Without access to such expertise, the platforms would not be possible, and the whole aspect of online gaming would not work. It might even include lawyers, no? Like myself, who help in the incorporation of POGO operators. So these are the two, Mr. Chairman, important observations and comments that we would like to put forth, and we will submit a more comprehensive position paper, Your Honor, please. Thank you po.
Thank you for that. And yes, please submit to us your position paper on or before July 22. To everyone who wishes to submit to us a position paper. Any more comments before we? Yes, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. I'm Atty. Percival Peralta from the Authority of Freeport Area of Bataan. We have to yet submit our position paper, and we are going to look into all aspects before we are going to finalize it. But since APAB is also an investment promotion agency, just like CESA, just like APECO, we consider we have an authority under our charter, Mr. Chair, to also issue licenses on gaming as well as BPOs, among others. Now, in our area of jurisdiction, we have not experienced yet, or there was no report insofar as criminalities are concerned. I was also before an officer of CESA way back a few years ago. And also, as was also mentioned by Mr. Lichu, that fishermen or other local residents in the area who were unemployed when they were employed in the gaming industry as either as a BPO or in the gaming activities itself. Their lives improved. They were able to send their children to school. They have full meals, morning, lunch, and also dinner or supper. Now, as I've said, lives were improved. Just like in other localities, also in APAB, we could proudly say that right now, as the data would reveal, that the ratio between a worker, a foreign worker, and a local worker in POGO or in BPO is something like 90% Filipinos and 10% local, or even at 10% foreigner, or even lower. That's why I would say that it's more on the regulation, it's more on the enforcement of peace and order, Mr. Chair, that matters here. Because we have to weigh, just like, for example, in the example that was presented a while ago, or the figure that was presented a while ago, when the income generated on POGO is something like 7 billion or 6 billion. Now, if you quantify under the POGO law, the minimum income, minimum tax per month per worker, foreign worker is 12,500, or 25% of the gross salary within the month. So if there are 100,000 workers, foreign workers. That's already you can quantify that now into 12.5 billion a year. So there was already a misstatement or understatement of the figures that were presented in the screen. I was intently listening on the presentations made, and even I think the revenue generated as presented by the DOF is consistent with the PAGCOR. So as I've said earlier, we in our charter also have the authority to issue licenses, and we have just started to issue or approve application only for the master licensee. In APAB, we say master licensee, and which is an entity that helps APAB in the promotion, marketing, supervision, and monitoring of the activities of these companies. They're going to help us monitor in the performances, even the commitments, investment commitments. A master licensee, we require them to commit at least $100 million for a period of 10 years. Now, when we approve their application and at the time that they start to operate, we have to monitor that. One way of seeing to it that they have to comply with their commitments, because otherwise we're going to penalize them. It's also part of their commitment, and if they cannot meet, there is a corresponding penalty for that. And we keep on pushing them. We will be pushing them to comply, so that of course when they perform or comply with their commitment to invest in our area, the better that the economy of the localities within the APAB or our expanded jurisdictions will be improved. So we have a lot of points, Mr. Chair, to include in our position paper, and we thank you for also giving us this opportunity, Mr. Chair.
Does AFAB have POGO or online gaming operators?
Before the pandemic, Mr. Chair, I know that there were those who were granted the licenses, but before they started operation, they left already because of what happened, of the pandemic restrictions. They were not able to bring in their ITs, so they were not able to start to operate. But there were those who were left. We have right now two BPOs only, but not as online gaming operators. Because I would say that there are two kinds of POGOs. One who are residing or located outside of the country, and there are those POGOs who are local, just like the one in Bamban or in Porac. Now, BPOs, they cater POGOs who are located within the country and POGOs located outside of the country. The two BPOs that we have, they cater they provide services to those who are located outside of the country. And I think that's one thing also that we have to look into. We will be requiring, we have to oblige our local service providers to encourage those located outside to also register here in the area or in the authority that issued them the license. Not only the BPO that must be registered, but also we have to require them to also register their principal, meaning the gaming operator whom they are catering their services.
Thank you, Attorney Peralta. Any more comments or reactions? Hearing none. If you have any position paper that you want